You know, one of the changes that I've seen in breed associations is you all used to be so focused on helping market registered seed stock, and most associations now are really increasing their focus and attention on helping create value and market those commercial calves out of their registered seed stock. So I'd like to give each one of you an opportunity to talk just a little bit about some of those programs. Colt, you want to begin?
Yeah, we recently kind of retooled our agent source verification program. It's a Charlet Advantage program, and it's in partnership with IMI Global, help cattle qualify not only for agent source, but natural NHTC and GAP certification. It's really just an opportunity to help lend a little bit more marketability, a little bit more identification to those Charlet influenced cattle, and help them try to tap into the markets, whether you go to a sale barn, you take them to a video auction, pick your platform. We want to be able to help those cattle maximize their value.
Tom, the Red Angus Association has a very popular tagging program that I'm familiar with. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the FCCP, as we call it, Feeder Calf Certification Program, has been around since the mid-90s. It was actually the very first PVP done with USDA in the cattle industry, in the beef cattle industry. And the program's still growing rapidly because it does bring identification and it brings some documentation to what the calves are. That's becoming increasingly important. If you look at what's happening in the buyer community, i.e. feedlots, order buyers, they're looking for more documentation. They don't want just a commodity calf that is red, black, or white and they don't know much else. They want to know more documented information, hard information, and so that's what the Red Angus Yellow Tag program, as we call it, brings. Also the Top Dollar Angus program for top 25% growth and carcass genetics in the Red Angus and Angus breed. That also brings identity into a top tier program. So you're seeing breed associations, as you said, take a very active role in helping our commercial customers market their calves more successfully. That's good for the commercial producer. That helps them get more profitability in their system, and it also is good for breeders as well.
Shane, what options are available for those baldy calves?
Absolutely. So, just following up with Tom, last year we rolled out a female program with both of our associations kind of working together. The Premium Red Baldy program that's built off of our 2 female indexes. And so, kind of in lieu of what Tom said, because the fact that our breeders have raised the bar and improved on genetics, we've tied those true economically relevant traits into our selection indexes that were designed for the commercial producer in the first place. We kind of use those as our genetic qualifiers for all of our commercial programs, our Hereford Advantage program, our Terminal one, and then our 2 maternal programs, the Premium Red Baldy, that's built off of our BMI index, and our Maternal Advantage, either for the folks using British Cross or what would be down in the Gulf Coast region making some of those good tiger stripes. And so I think it's an attribute to the progress that we've been able to make in our genetic selection tools by incorporating those good economically relevant traits and really targeting a desired focus for the end game, and our breeders stepping up and progressing with the times, that we truly feel comfortable about offering these commercial programs to add value in the end game.
That's great. And Dan, of course, you all have had a way of adding value for quite some time with something called Certified Angus Beef, but you have some additional ways that you add value to commercial cattlemen as well.
You bet. The Angus Source program is one of the longest running agent source programs and still rapidly growing. But we're very excited about the new Angus Link program, which we launched last year. It's an opportunity for boosters that are using Angus and other breed bulls. We pull in the EPDs on those bulls and use that to calculate a score for the group of feeder cattle. And so we can rate those cattle objectively for feedlot performance, grid merit, and total profitability, and then help the producers use that in marketing so that they can gain value from the superior genetics they brought into their herds.
That's fantastic. And Tom, what's going on at the Gelbvieh Association?
Well, last year we released Balancer Edge, which is source and age verification in partnership with IMI Global for Gelbvieh and Balancer sired feeder cattle. And so we have some breed requirements as far as 75% of the bulls used on an operation need to be registered with our association. That allows for producers to be using some bulls from other breeds as well. And then one of the other things as far as determining genetic merit is the IGS feeder profit calculator, which is part of the collaborative effort that we talked about earlier, Kevin. And so that's a third-party valuation of the genetics and the management in an individual's producer's program. And so that will, in the end, generate a certificate that has a dollars in value per hundredweight over average of what those calves should be worth due to genetics and management.
One other question, what would you say to somebody who says, you know what, I don't plan to raise registered cattle, I don't need to buy registered cattle, and or to the breeder that said, you know, my guys don't care about registration papers, we never transfer the registration papers. What guidance do you have to those folks, Dan?
Well, I think that it's important to understand that seed stock operations, you know, they're making a significant investment in time and in technology to design, you know, the ideal and high quality cattle, and that the bulls that don't have that kind of thought put behind them, they don't have the genetic potential to really transform a herd the way seed stock bulls do. And this idea of getting the bulls transferred back to the new owners, that's very important for some of these feeder calf programs that we talked about. That documentation of what the genetics are in these feeder cattle comes through the registration certificate, the genomic testing, the EPDs, the pedigree, through the transfer, and so we can put an accurate, objective evaluation on those calves.
Kevin, here's the analogy I'd use. Would that same producer buy a pickup without knowing the horsepower or the towing capacity or many other specific specs on that truck that they want? That's really the difference. I mean, would you spend a lot of money on a bull without knowing really anything about the genetic merit of that bull? That's the difference between a registered bull that has documentation and good, accurate EPDs behind them versus one that is just a generic bull with no information.
That's great insight. Thank you.